Can you believe it? In only 4 days, the brand new Nintendo Switch 2 sold more than 3.5 million units worldwide, earning the title of fastest-selling home video game console of all time. But here's the twist that nobody expected. Its runaway success might actually be the grand finale for an era of gaming as we once knew it. Today, we are delving into the astonishing world of the Nintendo Switch 2, uncovering why its spectacular debut might also signal the end of the traditional gaming model. In this episode, we will explore the tectonic shift taking place beneath the surface, the staggering rise of free-to-play platforms that rake in cash without relying on expensive consoles, and how Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo are each trying to survive in an environment where towering development costs and streaming-based lifestyles are rewriting the rules. Imagine this scenario. You walk into the store, determined to buy the latest gaming system that has all your favorite characters, like Mario and Link, ready to greet you at the starting line. For decades, that scenario was the textbook approach to video games. You purchased a console, fed it with a steady menu of hit titles, and enjoyed a stable ecosystem that rarely changed. Now, in the year 2025, those bedrock principles appear to be melting away like snow under the intense heat of radical transformations. We're here to peel back every layer of that transformation. We will look at how the success of the Nintendo Switch 2, ironically, might represent the last hurrah of a hardware-centric approach, even as it snares jaw-dropping revenues. We will also investigate the new breed of titles, from Fortnite to Roblox, that operate as sprawling social and commercial landscapes. Plus, we will answer the looming question, how did gaming's old-school giants end up in the crosshairs of digital free-to-play juggernauts, which are quickly becoming unstoppable forces? This story involves epic partnerships with media titans, strangely captivating welcome tours, electrifying theme parks, and the quiet shift in consumer habits that has been decades in the making. We will dig into how Disney, once known for its own interactive ventures, found it more profitable to invest in an existing online world than to build its own games from the ground up. In the midst of all this, we find Nintendo's signature creativity, along with Sony's HBO ambitions and Microsoft's attempt to become the Netflix of games, forging new paths in a time of massive uncertainty. So, buckle up, because we are visiting console nostalgia, flashy brand deals, and everything in between. Let's start by revisiting the moment that stunned gamers around the globe. The day Nintendo announced that the Nintendo Switch 2, priced higher than many had anticipated, shattered all previous sales records in barely 4 days. 3.5 million units is a gargantuan figure that dwarfs many previous launches. The fans, from devoted collectors to casual players, seemed unstoppable in their desire to grab the newest piece of Nintendo magic. And who could blame them? For decades, Nintendo has been known for forging connections between old and young, bringing entire families together around titles like Mario Kart, The Legend of Zelda, and Pokémon. So, naturally, the new machine was destined to attract enormous attention. Yet hidden within that success is a bigger question. How long can that hardware-based model drive such enthusiasm in a market increasingly dominated by intangible, online-first, platform-agnostic experiences? The conflict becomes more apparent when we look at the current wave of free-to-play behemoths. Names like Minecraft, Roblox, and Fortnite have extended their tendrils into popular culture so thoroughly that many younger gamers today do not even consider the idea of purchasing a $70 game as a normal expectation. Instead, daily life in gaming is often lived out in digital realms that are free to enter, where revenue flows from in-app purchases, skins, expansions, or an entire marketplace of user-generated content. Gone are the days when an aspiring player had to own a dedicated box to call themselves a gamer. In this new reality, a simple smartphone or a tablet can unlock entire worlds. Fortnite, for instance, has become not just a game, but also a stage for concerts, a promotional venue for superhero movie tie-ins, and a kaleidoscope of brand partnerships that rake in sums borderline unimaginable in prior decades. Now, consider this. Where does that leave Sony, Microsoft, and even Nintendo, which have carved out their kingdoms by producing premium games that can cost hundreds of millions of dollars to develop? Titles like Marvel's Spider-Man 2, swirling with photorealistic visuals, require armies of developers, motion capture artists, voice actors, composers, and testers to produce. These colossal budgets are more reminiscent of Hollywood blockbusters than of the modest development teams from the 80s and 90s, when pixelated adventures could be coded by just a handful of people. Compare that to free-to-play or user-generated platforms that rely on iterative updates, a continuous cycle of new content, and in some cases, the players themselves to drive creativity. Suddenly, the old formula looks overshadowed by a more agile, if somewhat exploitative money-making machine. Of course, it's not quite that simple. Despite the rocky shift, many cable-like subscription services for gaming have sprung up, almost in imitation of dominant video streaming services. Microsoft, in particular, has pushed into territory reminiscent of Netflix by setting up a library that can be accessed digitally, removing the requirement for expensive physical copies and promising a rotating selection of games. Meanwhile, Sony is funneling resources into more lavish, story-driven experiences, akin to premium cinematic offerings, and simultaneously bridging that gap with transmedia expansions such as the Last of Us television show. Both corporations are adopting drastically different strategies, yet each strategy converges on the realization that the old days, when a console could last a decade with regular first-party releases, might be drawing to a close. That brings us back to Nintendo, the venerable pipeline for creative innovations. Nintendo's conservative approach to hardware has long made it the odd one out. While Sony and Microsoft tussled over the highest resolution and frames per second, Nintendo stayed a generation or two behind in sheer technical muscle, focusing on accessible, family-friendly experiences. That was the secret sauce behind the original Switch's success, and for a while, that seemed unstoppable, even in the face of changing consumer patterns. However, the Nintendo Switch 2 marks a shift in pricing. With game prices creeping up to $79.99, the costs are starting to reflect an industry whose top-tier production values are becoming a risky gamble. So, how does a company that built its brand on inclusivity and creative experimentation cope with the creeping realities of unstoppable economic forces? Here is where the story gets even more intricate. While Nintendo indicates it wants to keep producing big releases, like new Donkey Kong adventures, fresh takes on Pokémon, and expansions of beloved franchises, there's no question that the external landscape has shifted. Free-to-play juggernauts are pulling in consistent revenue streams, sometimes overshadowing big-name console exclusives. The specter of gambling mechanics and microtransactions looms large, transforming a once simple pastime into a labyrinth of reward-based systems, leveling up illusions and transformations of gameplay into marketing. Investors notice these shifts too, pouring funds into companies that can promise endless engagement loops rather than a single-shot release. Yet at the same time, we must not overlook the intangible charm of Nintendo. Every so often, a game from Nintendo breaks through, defying the logic of the market. That intangible quality was on display during the early days of the pandemic when the original Nintendo Switch soared in popularity, thanks in part to a cozy life simulation game that allowed people to connect virtually when they were physically isolated. So, the question becomes, can Nintendo do it again with the Nintendo Switch 2? Or does the proliferation of always-online experiences, supported by billions in brand partnerships, overshadow even the most beloved family-friendly console? As we stand at this crossroads, each new detail sends ripples across the entire world of gaming. If you find these developments as captivating as I do, feel free to show some love and let us know. That small gesture can help keep this deep dive going, so we can continue unveiling the hidden truths, ongoing controversies, and sparkling highlights of the video game world. Let's dig deeper into the reasons behind the unstoppable momentum of free-to-play, platform-agnostic titles. One key lies in speed. These games deliver new experiences at a pace that is nearly impossible for traditional studios to match. Every few weeks, Fortnite or Roblox might roll out a fresh update jam-packed with limited-time events, fresh costumes, new collaborations, or custom worlds built by players themselves. Contrast that with the sprawling development cycle of an epic single-player console title, which can take 5 years and a dazzling sum of money that could easily pass $300 million. By the time a premium console game has undergone its final round of polishing, some free-to-play competitors have run a half-dozen updates, each one designed to nudge players further along the spending pipeline. This environment invites brand crossovers in a manner never before seen, all while circumventing the usual bureaucratic hurdles of physical production. Think about it. Launching a new console bundle typically involves dealing with manufacturing lines, shipping logistics, retail negotiations, and meticulously planned marketing campaigns that stretch over months. Meanwhile, a free-to-play platform can instantly inject new brand partnerships, even ephemeral ones, overnight. This difference in agility grants them a powerful advantage in how quickly they can adopt cultural moments, trending memes, or viral phenomena to keep players hooked. Then there is the matter of user-generated content, a phenomenon that appeals to that do-it-yourself spirit in tens of millions of players. In the old days, if you wanted to see your favorite brand exist in your favorite game, you typically had to either wait for an official collaboration or mod the game yourself, often risking glitchy performance or even running afoul of intellectual property rights. Nowadays, entire ecosystems like Roblox revolve around letting players build their dream experiences, with official brand tie-ins or expansions not far behind. This synergy between the creative community and corporate marketing arms is enormously lucrative, making some wonder whether big gaming companies should pivot to letting players do more of the heavy lifting. So, how does one of the oldest and most respected gaming studios in the world, Nintendo, maintain its identity and traditions in this soft earthquake of transformations? It's worth remembering that Nintendo has a storied heritage, starting as a maker of playing cards during the late 19th century. Adaptation has always been part of the company's DNA. The Nintendo Switch 2 stands as both a testament to that adaptability and a throwback to more familiar times, featuring the signature joy of local multiplayer and a library of first-party classics. But with the rising cost of living, increasing globalization, and an economic climate requiring near-constant innovation, even Nintendo can't outrun market forces forever. Theme parks and blockbuster animated movies are increasingly essential facets of the broader Nintendo brand, indicating that the company is broadening its approach to entertainment. The Switch 2 is thus perched at a delicate midpoint. It's undeniably a console designed for those who love the feel of a portable device that can seamlessly dock to a supersized screen, but it's also priced in a way that might place it beyond the reach of many casual gamers who originally found the Switch appealing. The complicated synergy of beloved characters, premium experiences, and rising costs underscores the tension at the heart of the industry. Is there room in this new age for a console that relies on evergreen franchises and a stable pipeline of exclusive releases when so many players are increasingly drawn to endless free content? Could Nintendo's next big step be integrating more free-to-play experiments into its platform, or forging new brand alliances that incorporate in-game advertising in ways we haven't even conceived? We can't forget Sony and Microsoft in all of this. Sony's pursuit of cinematic grandeur in games has led to record-shattering budgets. This is the era of photorealistic games that can rival big-screen productions, but that also demand larger teams, more marketing, and significantly more capital. Meanwhile, Microsoft is positioning itself as a subscription-based empire, reminiscent of digital streaming platforms that gather countless titles under one membership. The question remains, will those models keep them competitive against free-floating platforms that thrive on infinite user engagement? Or is it simply a race to see who can survive the longest while the gaming economy reshuffles itself around new revenue streams? Hidden beneath these corporate maneuverings is a crucial factor: the players themselves. Some gamers relish the idea of a console cycle that defies the norms of ephemeral mobile gaming, providing a stable hardware presence to anchor otherwise scattered playlists. Others swarm to the excitement of continuous updates, crossovers, and the social atmosphere that thrives in free-to-play experiences. As more people get accustomed to having an always-online persona, one that can jump from phone to console to laptop, the desire for tethered hardware might dwindle. That tension is exactly what makes the Nintendo Switch 2's position so precarious, even with stellar sales. Consider also that modern gamers are not limited by geographies or languages. The global market for online platforms is breathtakingly diverse, meaning the biggest hits often succeed by attracting millions of participants from every corner of the planet. Where older console games might have found their biggest audiences in North America, Europe, and a few other regions, the new wave of free-to-play titles can dominate in markets that overshadow traditional console usage. This reality disrupts the older distribution model, further raising the stakes for companies that have historically built their reputations on console ecosystems. Now, let's pivot to one of the more intriguing aspects of the Switch 2 launch: the so-called Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, a piece of interactive digital marketing priced at $9.99, which basically walks you through a museum about why your new console purchase was a wise decision. Is it a clever piece of infotainment, or does it hint at a subtle anxiety about maintaining user interest? One might argue that simply letting people pop in a game like Mario Kart World or an enticing Switch-exclusive title would be enough. Yet the fact that Nintendo went out of its way to create a paid museum experience might speak volumes about how it sees its role in a shifting environment. Nintendo might be testing smaller, more experimental paid experiences, bridging the gap between an actual game and a promotional piece. Remarkably, that very same Mario Kart World is expected to continue the franchise's tradition of tapping into playful competition with just enough mechanical depth to please more experienced gamers. However, even that revered brand has to contend with the fact that many players are used to simply jumping into a quick online competition for free in other titles. So the question remains, does the comfort of the Mario brand, combined with top-tier polish, overshadow the lure of zero-cost entry elsewhere? This inquiry becomes more urgent as we see not just new competition, but an outright revolution in how games are monetized and delivered to consumers. If you have been enjoying this journey so far, consider showing your support one more time. Your engagement might seem small, but it fuels the deeper exploration that drives us to investigate the past, present, and future of gaming. Let's talk about the big money deals hanging over these developments, like towering city skyscrapers. It makes headlines whenever a conglomerate invests billions into a gaming platform. But what does that mean for traditional publishers who rely on console sales? Think about Disney's decision to deepen its ties with Epic Games, the creator of Fortnite, pumping $1.5 billion into the company. That is an astronomical sum, one that could have funded multiple AAA game projects if Disney wanted to invest in its own digital ecosystem. Instead, the media giant saw an existing environment with an enormous user base, many of whom spend real money on virtual items. That synergy, media brand meets established audience, speaks to a bigger truth. It's often more pragmatic to partner with powerful, flexible platforms than to reinvent them from scratch. Such deals also underscore another point. Advertising within games can be subtle and can exist without the constraints of older marketing campaigns. When promotions for popular films or television series appear in Fortnite, it might be unclear whether the publisher has paid for that content, or whether the brand owners have financed it themselves to capitalize on Fortnite's huge audience. The lines blur. Traditional marketing deals, once straightforward in their budgeting and planning, become ephemeral arrangements in these fluid digital worlds, where you can literally walk your avatar into a specialized event, watch a trailer, and exit with a new in-game cosmetic. Another tension arises around so-called gambling or gacha mechanics, in which players spend real currency on virtual dice rolls, hoping to secure rare or desirable items. While the moral and ethical considerations are hotly debated, there's no denying the massive profits that result. Many governments have yet to fully catch up with these developments, and the gaming industry benefits from that legal ambiguity. In the midst of it all, console makers, which historically sold self-contained products without gambling features, face a new world dominated by these predatory but highly profitable mechanics. Nintendo, famously protective of its family-friendly image, has been slow to embrace such strategies outright. Yet, as the cost of game development soars, the lure of these high-profit systems might become too potent for even the most tradition-bound companies to resist. If we zoom out, we can see that this entire scenario is but one chapter in the broader saga of corporate maneuvering, private equity influence, and the unstoppable push toward ephemeral digital revenue streams. The question is not only whether the Nintendo Switch 2 will be the last of its kind, but whether the entire landscape of gaming hardware is destined to shrink, replaced by intangible subscription-based ecosystems or entirely free platforms that have discovered more powerful ways to keep players hooked and paying over time. Nintendo might end up forging a new model, blending aspects of consistent first-party releases with selective collaborations or expansions. Sony may continue doubling down on top-quality cinematic titles that blur the line between big-screen entertainment and gaming. Microsoft might refine its Game Pass subscription model, seeking to lock in customers who prefer quantity and convenience. Meanwhile, The vast wave of mobile-driven, free-to-play phenomena will keep marching forward, generating massive returns from a global consumer base that dwarfs the older concept of console-based gaming. But let's not forget the player's perspective. Many of us still cling to that tangible feeling of picking up a distinct piece of hardware, setting it up on the living room table, and anticipating a round of couch co-op or a remarkable single-player adventure. That excitement belongs in an era that is rapidly colliding with a future in which gaming might be nothing more than a platform on your TV app. The Nintendo Switch 2, by all traditional metrics, is a triumph. It's more powerful than the original system, boasts an impressive library right out of the gate, and can handle visually complex experiences like Street Fighter VI and a robust Donkey Kong Return. Yet, lurking behind all that success is an industry in flux, one that might not support a third or fourth iteration of a specialized Nintendo device. As you watch the new Switch 2 pick up steam or the fresh collaborations in Fortnite roll out, you're participating in this vital turning point. Every purchase, every login, every synergy with your smartphone or social network is shaping how gaming companies approach their future. Will they clamp down on tradition, trying to replicate the blueprint that once fueled console generations? Or will they fully embrace the intangible streams of money that come from digital tie-ins and myriad microtransactions? Much of this will come down to what we, as consumers, accept. If fans champion subscription services or flock exclusively to free-to-play platforms, the market will follow that direction. If, on the other hand, enough gamers demand console-specific experiences, or demonstrate their willingness to pay for polished, well-crafted games, there might still be room for systems like the Switch 2. At present, that reality is unclear. The machine's lightning-fast success is evidence that the appetite for console-based entertainment has not vanished, but the question of its longevity remains. Gaming historians might look back and view this console as the final echo of a grand tradition, bridging almost 40 years of hardware-based entertainment before the entire model drifted into a digital feed. And if that turns out to be the case, at least the Switch 2 is delivering a robust farewell. Its owners can savor brand new Metroid entries or expansions of the Mario universe, and, at the same time, dabble with a slew of third-party releases that normally wouldn't be possible on a weaker platform. While there's a sting in the idea that such a time-honored format might be nearing its end, we can still revel in what it offers now. Perhaps the future of gaming will be more open, more indefinite in structure, more entwined with the daily flow of social media. Perhaps we are witnessing the last stand of that wondrous feeling, unboxing a shiny new console that physically sits in our entertainment center, signifying that a fresh generation of gaming has begun. In the face of so many unanswered questions, the one thing that is certain is that the gaming industry is bigger and more intricate than ever before. So, if you are eager to stay informed about these fast-moving changes, from the realities of corporate mega deals to the unstoppable surge of user-generated worlds, then remain engaged with us. As we close this deep dive, remember that every game you pick up, every platform you explore, and every conversation you spark is part of this multi-layered revolution in interactive entertainment. The next time you power on your Nintendo Switch 2 or open up your favorite free-to-play universe, you might ask yourself, are you stepping into a golden age of endless connectivity and boundless creativity, or are you waving farewell to a cherished tradition? Only time will tell, but whatever happens, we'll be right here, charting the path forward, unraveling the mysteries behind every corporate deal and creative gamble. The story of the video game industry is far from over. It may be heading for its most unpredictable, transformative chapter yet.